I'm in the San Juan National Forest near Durango, Colorado, and I'm here at the Pinkerton Hot Spring, a Yellowstone-like geothermal feature here in Colorado. So we're gonna see this first. This roadside hot spring has become a roadside attraction in itself. The hot spring is fed by groundwater that drains through the earth. As it descends, the water comes in contact with magma deep within the earth, and then the heated water rises up right here. James Harvey Pinkerton settled this area with the springs in the 1870s, and he decided to make use of it. He advertised that the spring water had healing powers in the 1800s, so people would come to bathe in the spring and drink the water for health. The spring water was sold to local restaurants for decades. Pinkerton later built a health resort nearby with a swimming pool filled with the water. Marilyn Monroe supposedly stayed there shortly before it burned down. Alright, I'm gonna do something really stupid. You usually don't do this in Yellowstone, but no, that's not too bad. That's actually pretty mild. Now, I'm gonna drive to Durango, just 13 miles south of here. Alright, made it to historic Durango, Colorado. There's a really cool Texaco sign. An old model tire store mural on the side of this former garage. Downtown Durango has lots of awesome historic buildings along Main Avenue. There's a Lego design on the side of this building, and a painted psychedelic weed cow. Welcome to Colorado. This is the former El Rancho Tavern, a very storied venue. In 1915, Colorado native Jack Dempsey, the Manassas Mauler, knocked down and beat Andy Malloy in a 10-round fight, winning $50. He was 20 years old at the time and would go on to become the world heavyweight champion 4 years later, and this mural on the tavern wall immortalizes the event. This building housed El Moro Saloon, site of Durango's strangest shootout. In 1906, the sheriff raided the saloon in the midst of a poker game and confiscated a roulette wheel that was in play. There was lots of trouble with illegal gambling in southwestern Colorado. The sheriff then confronted the city marshal, right outside the saloon on the former wooden sidewalk for this lack of enforcement of gambling laws. They exchanged insults and then drew guns, but the marshal won. The architecture on some of these old buildings is absolutely fantastic. Since recreational marijuana is famously legalized here, they have a cannabis discovery center here in Durango, but I'm not old enough to go in, so I didn't. That is the Chief, a cartoonish Native American sign made in the late 50s, and will probably not be around too much longer. Here's a wood-carved cowboy. There's some neat designs on that building. Here's a bronze statue of a cowboy and his trusty dog. That's an interesting sign for Garden Shorts Sporting Goods. A big cat chilling on a bench outside of a gallery. That's a really cool Christmas themed window display. Couldn't find Waldo though. I found Zoltar at a souvenir shop. Always nice to see Zoltar, though I'm not giving him any money this time. There's a British telephone booth. That is the Newman Block, built in 1897. This eclectic structure is the Strader Hotel. During the Colorado silver boom during the late 1800s, the Strader was built as a winter retreat for the local miners here around Durango and also around Silverton. Later on, during Prohibition, bootleggers built secret liquor caches into the walls, staircases, and fixtures, many of which you can still see inside. It is a really awesome hotel that I'll explore more thoroughly in the future. This is the General Palmer Hotel, built in 1898. It's a Victorian boutique hotel built by Civil War General William Jackson Palmer, the same man who built the narrow gauge railroad. There's a big teddy bear outside of the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. This is the station for the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. This rail line between Durango and Silverton has run continuously since 1881, originally for the silver miners. It's now a very popular attraction, as you can ride the train on this National Historic Landmark Railroad through the San Juan National Forest. There is a winter train that's currently running, and while I bet that's really awesome, I didn't do it, hopefully another time. Next to the narrow gauge railroad, there are some horse sculptures, and next to them is the Palace Restaurant. It's a historic and fancy restaurant right along the railroad, and it definitely gives off an Old West feel. The dining rooms are beautiful and there's lots of stained glass. This was in January 2020. The year would take a terrible turn for the worse, and sadly this storied restaurant had to close for good in August of 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a real shame because it's a great historic restaurant. I'm really glad I got to see this and eat here right before it closed, and I hope a new operator can take over and reopen the palace in the future. Also by the narrow gauge railroad is a giant, somewhat scary, inflatable Santa Claus. So that was a winter walkthrough of downtown Durango, Colorado. It's an awesome mountain town that I'll be returning to. Please check out my other videos, and thanks for watching.